Hello, I'm Kamali, taking you through stories people are talking about and sharing around the world on Newsfeed today. On the night the Oscars tried to show how diverse the movie industry is, did the actor Emma Stone expose its obvious divisions? Why China's censors are combing the internet for images of Winnie the Pooh? Inconclusive results in Italy after this weekend's elections, we look at the impact that fake news may have had. And what better way to get around Amsterdam when the canals freeze over? Well, at the top of the news feed, and the movie awards season is over for another year, rounded off by last night's Oscars. Frances McDormand won Best Actress for her performance in the film 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, and she led the audience in a standing ovation of all the women nominees. Now, why they still have male and female categories is beyond me, but she did talk about an inclusion rider, which is being viewed as a call to have more diverse cast and crews. Now, remember, this year's awards are in the shadow of the Me Too movement, and many of the stars speaking on stage made the most of the spotlight.
The changes we are witnessing are being driven by the powerful sound of new voices, of different voices, of our voices, joining together in a mighty chorus that is finally saying, "Time's up." And we work together to make sure that the next 90 years empower these limitless possibilities of equality, diversity, inclusion, intersectionality. That's what this year has promised us.
Well, the actor Emma Stone sparked some controversy with her announcement of the Best Director award. Have a listen.
And it is the vision of the director that takes an ordinary movie and turns it into a work of art. These 4 men and Greta Gerwig created their own masterpieces this year.
As you heard, the reaction was mixed to say the least. Some people were quick to point out how Stone has worked with Woody Allen, which is controversial in and of itself. And as April points out here, she also depicted a Hawaiian Asian woman in the film Aloha. But some, like Marcelo Sandoval, said it was their favourite moment of the night. Well, Lucy Ford's an entertainment reporter for Bauer Media. She's been up all night watching the show, and I spoke to her earlier.
Oh, I loved it. I thought it was the best moment of the whole show.
Even though she's been accused of whitewashing?
I just feel like you cannot please everyone. And you can't, you know, there are certain ways that you can poke fun at things. And like, you know, Emma Stone has talked about some things that she's been sorry for. I think she talked about she apologized for whitewashing in Aloha. So, I mean, I think, you know, having maybe one bad thing in your past life, you know, some people have an issue with her working with Woody Allen. It doesn't take away from the fact that that was a pretty ballsy move on stage.
Now, there was a previous hashtag a couple of years ago called Oscars So White. That was a big movement. We've had hashtag Me Too this year. What happened to that previous movement, and what kind of legacy do you think these political statements at these awards show actually have?
I think you just need to look at the nominations this year to see that Oscars So White did have a lasting legacy, because if you look at something like Get Out, you know, that definitely wouldn't have been nominated 2 years ago, and there it was winning an award, you know, and it was also up for Best Picture. Daniel Kaluuya was up for Best Actor, Jordan Peele up for Best Director. You know, that film cost $4 million to make and made $250 million. And I still don't think, even with that success, had there not been such a push for social change, that would have been nominated, because it's not a traditional Oscars film.
No, it's
but
not.
You know,
pretty terrifying. I mean, you've seen it.
Oh, I loved it. It's my favourite film of the year. I put a bet on it winning, so I'm a bit gutted today.
You lost your money there. What else stood out for you then, Lucy?
Frances McDormand, her speech. You know, I've kind of done all of these award shows now and followed them, and you know, this one wasn't a particularly interesting year. You know, I think it's hard to follow on from last year with Envelope Gate. You know, the same people won. Frances McDormand's won everything. But I think that push at the end to get all the women standing up together, it might have been the no sleep, but me and my colleague cried in our office. Just because it was really powerful. It's nice seeing all the women supporting each other.
Absolutely, it was quite a moment. All right, Lucy, get some more sleep then. Thank you so much for being with us. Well, as you can expect, the Oscars have been dominating social media. Let's have a look at what else has been trending. Hashtag Una Mujer Fantastica, a fantastic woman, is up there. It won Best Foreign Film and stars a trans actor in the lead role and is being held up as an example of inclusivity.
I heard a woman becomes herself the first time she speaks without permission. Then every word out her mouth a riot. Say beautiful.
Twitter paid for a TV ad during this year's show. This is it. It's a poem that's been read by Denise Frohman. Now, it was with the hashtag Here We Are, and Twitter says it's to add to the conversation about diversity. Well, Twitter itself has been criticised for not doing anywhere near enough to stop abuse on its platform. And before we stop talking about the Oscars for this year, let's just show you this shot of Bana Alabed, who tweeted her greetings from the red carpet. You remember she was the little Syrian girl posting videos and messages apparently during the siege of Aleppo. Now, what has Winnie the Pooh got to do with the Chinese president? Well, as the National People's Congress begins and moves to allow President Xi Jinping to be leader for life get discussed, there's been a renewed campaign by the censors in China to target images of the lovable bear.
Hey, have you guys heard what's going on in China?
President Xi Jinping's new style?
Yes, and there's more.
And there's lots more. Xi Jinping might lead China for a really, really long time. The Communist Party, which actually runs the show, wants changes to the constitution that would drop the two-term limit on the presidency. This means Xi could retain the position beyond his second term, which ends in 2023. So what does this mean for China? It's the most populous country in the world, has the second biggest economy and the highest buying power. This makes Xi the leader of a global powerhouse. He's everywhere in China, on the streets and even inside homes. He's even been compared to Mao Zedong, the country's founding leader and its most powerful. Chairman Mao led China for 27 years, but his authoritarian style and erratic behaviour in his later years led to chaos, culminating in the Cultural Revolution and deaths of thousands. After that, the party stabilised its rule under the leadership of Deng Xiaoping and instituted collective leadership to prevent a return to one person having too much power. But isn't this exactly what is happening under Xi? Xi is the president of China, commander-in-chief of the army, general secretary of the Communist Party, and officially its core leader. Critics are already calling him the chairman of everything. An intense media campaign portrays him as powerful and approachable. Rap songs introduce his policies and his authorized nickname Papa Xi is often used in songs. But how much of the hype is real? Xi has been blamed for using the internet to crack down on dissents. China employs millions of workers to monitor web activity. Posts that are critical of the government are often deleted. Winnie the Pooh was banned after memes comparing the childlike bear to the president went viral. China has been condemned for human rights abuses. More than 200 lawyers and activists have been detained over the past 2 years in a crackdown on any who dare to question the government and its methods. But Xi also has a lot of popular support. His signature campaign has been a popular crackdown on corruption, and more than 1 million officials have been punished. But critics say he's using corruption as an excuse to get rid of political opponents, and that reminds many people of an earlier era. They remember Mao and how it all ended, and they wonder, is another cult of personality a good thing for China?
Now, the results from Italy's election are coming in, and while the outcome is inconclusive at this stage, what is clear is that the anti-establishment parties have done the best. Now, there were concerns that fake news on social media may have had an impact. Well, our Sandra Gatman has been covering this for us and tries to make sense of the morning after the night before.
The biggest winner of the night, clearly the Five Star Movement, a populist Eurosceptic party, winning just over 30% of the vote, a remarkable success for a party that's never been in power, never been a real force in Italian politics, but all week we've been speaking to people, and especially here in Rome, everyone has been saying that they want change. People in the south of the country have been undecided for so long, but they have also been saying they're tired of the politics of old, and they really want to see fresh faces leading the country and taking it in a completely different direction. I'll just take you through some of the headlines in the papers this morning. They've all been trying to make sense of this as well. This one is a local paper. It's called Il Messaggero. It says center-right in the lead, 5-star on their heels. This one here says elections, chaos follows, delays and long queues. They're referring to the glitches in early voting yesterday. This is a national paper, Corriere della Sera. It says tilt to 5-star, government is in a riddle. And it really is in a riddle at the moment. The negotiations to try to form some kind of coalition between the center-right led by Berlusconi, they've won the highest number of seats, but need to find allies in order to govern. It's going to be a very long and difficult process, and everyone is going to be in this era of uncertainty until some kind of power-sharing deal is made.
Well, let's take you around the world now for the other top stories you need to know this Monday. The calls for a ceasefire continue to go unheeded in eastern Ghouta near Damascus, but aid is finally arriving. There's been more shelling and airstrikes as the Syrian regime say they'll continue their operation. The UN voted for a ceasefire over a week ago. Australia's most senior Catholic bishop is in court to face charges of historic sexual abuse. Now, he faces multiple allegations and has repeatedly protested his innocence. Aftershocks in Papua New Guinea are making it harder to reach anyone trapped after a powerful earthquake a few days ago. Rescue teams continue to search for survivors, and aid is beginning to get there. More than 60 people are thought to have died. It's being reported that North Korea may have made more than $200 million last year using Bitcoin. It said the regime has been using the cryptocurrency to get around UN and US sanctions. And the US has sent an aircraft carrier to Vietnam, the first time a ship of that size and power has been in the area since the end of the war in the 70s. It's also seen as a show of force against China. Now, the Syrian war has seen millions of refugees flee the fighting. One would-be Olympian escaped to Egypt in 2016 and is now teaching his craft to young people there. Take a look.
واللي عندك اعطيه لغيرك، عرفت علي شلون؟ فبيوم من الايام هذا حيرجع على بلده فما حتتاثر سوريا.
Well, the freezing weather across Europe looks to be on its way out, so it's a last chance to make some cool videos about it, like this one from Amsterdam, where the canals have frozen over completely. They're having a good time. Well, that's the end of the newsfeed. I'm Kamali. Thank you for watching. You can find us 24/7 on Facebook, Twitter and YouTube. And make sure you subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow.